بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. لقد قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما كان لنفس أن تموت إلا بإذن الله كتابا مؤجلا ومن يرد ثواب الدنيا نؤته منها ومن يرد ثواب الآخرة نؤته منها وسنجزي الشاكرين. And it is not possible for one to die except by permission of Allah and a decree determined. And whoever desires the reward of this world, we will give him thereof. And whoever desires the reward of the hereafter, we will give him thereof. And we will reward the grateful. Recite the second salawat, please. And recite your third salawat in the honor of a long time, Hazrat Sahib al-Asr al-Zaman, Arjalallah ta'ala farajah al-Sharif. And your fourth salawat for all of those mashallah brothers and sisters who are sponsoring, who are helping out, putting hard effort and time and all of the resources to make the majalis of the Ahlul Bayt happen. Last but not least, let's remember all the marhumin and marhumat, and let's remember them by reciting the loudest of salawat followed by Surah Al-Fatiha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa alihi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, we've been blessed to come out and get together and talk about the school of thought of the Ahlul Bayt through the teachings of the Quran for one extra night in the beloved month of Ramadan. Inshallah, may Allah accept all of your hard work and prayers during this month. Recite another salawat. So we started this topic of the matter of eschatology and resurrection, and we went through several verses of the Quran for the previous night. Tonight I'm going to take the discussion one step further, and then we will talk about the choice that every person has as he or she is living in this world. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا كَانَ لِنَفْسٍ أَن تَمُوتَ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ كِتَابًا مُؤَجَّلًا. There is not a single soul, there is not a single person, وَمَا كَانَ لِنَفْسٍ أَن تَمُوتَ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ, that this person will not go through this journey of life and he or she will not pass only by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Kitaban mu'ajjala, meaning that this permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that ajjalul musamma, which we talked about last night, it is something that has already been determined. When we say it's determined, keep on and hold on to that for the Laylatul Qadr, because as you get closer and closer to the Laylatul Qadr, you want to focus on this determination of your rizq and provisioning of your rizq more and more. As you all know, Laylatul Qadr, as the name of it is, it clears, it's a day in which everything gets determined, right? So that's one thing on the side track. وَمَنْ يُرِدْ ثَوَابَ الدُّنْيَا نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا وَمَنْ يُرِدْ ثَوَابَ الْآخِرَةِ نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever wants the rewards of this dunya, whoever wants the bounties of this dunya, we will give him. And whoever wants the rewards and the bounty of the hereafter, we will grant them and we will provide it for them, right? وَسَنَجْزِي الشَّاكِرِينَ. And the reward will be so grateful for those who are thankful and express their gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do we deduct from this ayah? That this world, right, it's a matter of choice. It's always the choices that we make which actually will shape our future, will shape our hereafter, will shape our personality. And we'll share all of the bounties and the blessings that we receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So everything comes back to our own free will, right? And when we talk about free will, the free will is not, as we say, it's not 100% all by itself. This free will is like been influenced by so many different factors, right? 1, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 2, from the angels. 3, from the shaitan or iblis or Satan, right? 4, from the armies of shaitan and all the people who are like shaitanic, right? 5, from our environment, meaning from the companions, from the friends, from the community, from the city that we live, from the neighbors that we're in, right? 6, from the nature, right? So all of these different factors have influence on our free will, right? So it's like a constant battle between what? When we look at ourselves, we have been created with different desires, different faculties, different wants and needs. At the same time, we have been given this grateful bounty of intellect, which we can use and we can determine between right and wrong, right? So this is the whole journey of life, meaning life is nothing but making those choices, and the choices becomes more severe and more thorough as we make the good choices, right? We have to start from easy and then we go to the advanced level, right? So this becomes the world as we know. So one of the Arabi, he goes to Abu Zar, right, the great companion of the Holy Prophet, and he asks him, and he raises this question. He says, what's wrong with us? Why do we feel this dislike and this interest in the topic of death? The minute we talk about the word death, we tend to get sad, right? Or nobody even talks about it. They tend to forget about it. Remember, Amir al-Mu'mineen was saying that the one fact which everybody tends to forget about is the idea of death. Everybody tends to think that this idea of death is something that is not going to happen to me. It's for everybody else, but not for me, right? So Arabi goes to Abu Zar and asks him a similar question. Why do we dislike the topic of death? Abu Zar turns around and tells him, well, because you're not familiar with the concept and the reality of death, right? But first of all, you think that death is the end. That's not true. Number 2, by death what happens? The realities come about, right? In this dunya everything's mixed. Good and bad, haq and batil, everything's all mixed, right? But by death, the reality, the truth comes out, right? So when the truth comes out, it cannot be out of 2 possibilities. Either the person was pious and a good person, or he was a person and, for example, an tyrant person, right? If the person was pious and lived a good and healthy life, right? It's an example of him returning to his hometown after a long journey being away. It's an example of returning to all of his beloved ones or their beloved ones after being away for such a long time. On the contrary, if the person is let's say unbeliever who did not have a healthy life, right? What's the example of that one? It's an example of a servant who has run away from his master, right? And has gone about doing whatever he or she wants. And now it's a day that he's finally caught up and he has to return to his own master. Now, let me just open up a parenthesis here. In a lot of teachings of religion, we always use this relationship between a master and the servant, right? Lord and the servant, right? Or Mawla and Abd, right? We have to be a little bit clear about this one. In the material sense, when we talk about, master and the servant, or we use the term slave, right? It comes up this, again, a very extreme negative intonation into it, right? Why? Because usually the masters are the oppressive ones, right? They take advantage of the servants, right? And then, they impose their own rights and their own will on the right of the servants. But when we talk about Creator and the creation, when we talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the Lord and us as His creatures, right? The equation here changes dramatically, right? Because we all know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ghaniyun bizzat. Meaning that when we look at Allah's essence, when we look at Allah as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's independent of everything that we can constantly think and assume. Right? Meaning that if the entire 7 billion population of the world, all of a sudden all of them become, the follower of the school of the Ahlul Bayt, and all of them become ma'soom, meaning that nobody does or commits a single sin. Does anything add to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Does anything get, actually deducted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The answer is no. Allah is Allah, He's the Almighty, right? He's the Lord. Meaning that no matter what we do or we don't, it has absolutely no effect on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are all these stuff for? One of the scholars was making a good point. He was saying it's interesting. Sometimes, I hurt myself, but somebody who's not me comes in the middle and says, why are you doing that to yourself, right? For example, I pick up a knife and I start cutting myself, right? Another person who's looking at me, he's gonna come up to me, he's like, what's wrong with you? What are you doing this, right? He used the same example. He says, the relationship that we have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala falls within the same category. Because no matter what we do, if we decide to become pious or not, right? Our own choice. Yet again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes, right? He brings us the religion, He sends us His best of the best of the best of the people, the prophets, right? And He gives us this set of rulings, the do's and don'ts, right? Why? Has no effect on Him. So what's the effect for? It's for our own selves. Why is He doing this? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves what He has created, right? I think I mentioned the hadith, right? It says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, if the people, if my, the creatures, if they would recognize how much of love and passion and caring I have for them, right? They would instantly lose their life. They would instantly give up their soul if they would just recognize how much. They give an example. They said one day, one of the Arabi, he was going to see and meet with the Holy Prophet of Islam, right? On his way, he finds this nest of a bird. There were a couple of eggs laid in that nest. So he picks up the eggs as a gift to give to Holy Prophet of Islam. And as he was going, he notices that the mother of the bird who was laying on the eggs, she's not letting go of the eggs. She keeps on going and going it goes back and forth between this person and within the distance of this person. Of course, it was a bird. It was scared to get too close, right? So the guy actually puts puts the eggs on top of his head as he was walking. So the bird was circling around his head all the way until he actually reached the city, and he entered the masjid and he went to the presence of the Holy Prophet of Islam. Then he starts talking and he presents the eggs to the Holy Prophet of Islam. The bird comes into the masjid as well, and then finally at the presence of the Holy Prophet of Islam, she finds the time to actually lay down on the eggs one more time. So the Holy Prophet of Islam, when he sees this, he tells the companions, you see this one? You see how much care and passion that the bird has for the eggs that has not been hatched yet, right? It's just the egg right now. It's not like a chicklet yet, right? Take that, multiply it by million and million times. That will not be a single epsilon of what or how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cares and loves His own creation. Right? So out of the love and the mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the teachings, right? Because why? Because He wants us to go back to our potentials, to actually make our potentials come to actuality. Remember the first ayah that we went through the first night, right? لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ, right? That أحسن تقويم is where we belong, but we have to work for it. It's not going to give us, it's not going to give it to us for free. If it was like that one, what would be the difference between us and the angels, right? Remember the difference? The angels, we said, they're made purely out of intellect, meaning that the possibility of committing sin is not possible for them. They don't have the choice on that part. Versus human, no, they have the choice, and that's the beauty of it, right? They have been created in ahsan taqweem, but they've been sent down to the lowest of the realm. Why? To see how will we behave, how will we choose, right? How will we shape our hereafter, right? So then all of these teachings, all of this hard work, you just look at the history of religion, right? I think you can say easily, you can claim this one, that most of the crimes, most of the oppression, most of the, the pressures and difficulties have been actually come down on those who come and talk about, for example, religion or the message of God. You look at the lifestyle of the prophets, right, for example. You look at the lifestyle of the Ahlul Bayt, right? And then you look at their personality, you see, alhamdulillah, mashallah, these are the closest people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the most pious and most pure hearts that you can possibly imagine. Yet again, when you look at their lifestyle, you see the most calamities and the most problems actually happens and occurs to them. Why? Again, Allah is sending His best to teach and lead others towards the best, right? What does the Imam do? The true Imam, he invites people towards where he's standing, right? Towards the characteristic that he has. That's a good teacher. A good teacher is the one that helps the students to elevate, to become teachers themselves, right? Not just to pass the test, no. A good teacher is the one who actually makes them elevate, right? And that's what Imam does. So we can say Imam al-Ma'soom is the closest layer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Then what is he doing? He's calling upon all of us to come and take one step and be one step closer and closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So this is the matter of choice in this dunya. This is why all the religion have been sent and all the prophets and the messages have been sent to the dunya.